All right, we're back. Cash to Capital, our second portfolio update. It's been a little bit of a minute, but we're back. So, what you got?
Hey, everybody, welcome back. We have taken a while because we have been letting our plays digest in the market, okay? So we wanted to give some time for our plays to digest. I've been moving stocks around like crazy. Maddox has stayed steadfast and has, showed some really good steadfast gains, but we're back. Market is super always crazy. There's a lot of geopolitical stuff going on. There's wars going on. There's money going to Argentina. There's just CPI data came in. Inflation's still rising, but not as much as we thought. So looks like rate cuts are going to move ahead. So a lot of things moving on, and that would affect the market.
Yeah, a lot of things happening as always, and moving forward, we'll get more consistent putting these out. Yeah, we'll show you some of the things that's going on in the portfolio right now.
Another thing I want to talk about is gambling. Recently we saw how the mafia is still around, which is crazy, and how all these basketball players, especially like people like
Even LeBron.
Terry. Well, LeBron is like he's
Yeah,
like a
that's iffy. That's iffy. But Terry
yeah,
Rozier,
he's
Chauncey
not.
Billups.
LeBron's not part of that.
Yeah,
Terry Rozier, Chauncey Billups, these guys are multimillionaires, and to be anywhere near people who are doing bad stuff like that, poor judgment on them. Even if it's not true or whatever, just to be associated and that whole gambling thing. I was watching CNBC on Friday, and there was an amazing stat of how sports gambling has gone from 7 billion, which was like last year, no, 7 billion from 2023. In 2025, it's like 157 billion. It's like exploded. So everybody's been gambling, and it's just not a good look, man. So, if you guys are out there gambling, please take your time and really give yourself a stop loss, like we talk about, so you can get out and don't just let your losses go crazy. And talk to somebody if you're struggling with gambling, because this is just it's going to get worse, I think, because you can bet on anything. We remember we were looking. What was that site we were on, Maddox?
which one?
The site we saw the gambling we were betting on.
I don't know.
You forgot? What's the one we
Not
were
yet.
doing parlays and stuff on?
Yeah,
There's a
there's a
site,
whole bunch of sites though.
bunch of sites, and like you could do a $1 parlay you could win
Yeah,
40, $50 on. You're just gonna do that because and imagine a million people play a dollar. That those sites make so much money. Um, Sports betting has just gone crazy, and just be responsible, guys out there, and just take your time because it can get real bad real fast.
seriously. Yeah, but we're gonna get on to portfolios. All right, yeah. So you can look at the overall portfolio value. We started off with 1,000 in the first portfolio update. Now we're at 1,250. So you can see the growth right there, and we're gonna break down where that growth came from.
Look at that, guys. We started with $1,000 just a couple weeks ago. Now we're at 1250. So a $250 increase by us just doing nothing, really, just letting our place sit, as we like to say, put them in the oven and let them cook. You know, Matt's going to talk about. I guess you can start with yours about your portfolio, your plays.
Yeah, yeah. So from my portfolio, when I first started off, my account value was at 500. Now we're at 603. So as you can see, almost $100 in gains, $18 in gains in the past day. When I go down stock by stock, where those gains coming from and what's really going on. So first start off with A&D, which is the biggest one, been going crazy. Initially jumped up off of news with OpenAI that they're gonna being involved with a multiple year deal, supplying 6 gigawatts of chips to OpenAI. And as you see over the first 3 months, initial pop and continue to go up. And off of the first pop, Oracle would jump off some similar pop, but Oracle actually came back. I think it's down like 9% this past month. There's some concerns about like the circular nature of some of these deals, but AMD's continued gone up. So now it's at 254. And the reason it's continued to go up recently, there's been some reports that IBM is going to be using AMD's chips to support their quantum computing initiatives. So definitely, like I said previously, a lot of these hyperscalers are using, AMD, not just, NVIDIA. They're diversifying the semiconductor companies they're using. So I think moving forward, I could definitely see AMD pulling back, around the 240 range. But I also won't be surprised if we continue to run up, upwards of 300.
What do you say about AMD? Like, look at the 52-week range. I mean, $75 at the 52-week low, and now we're sitting at 254, and looking like there's going to be more room to run. Jim Cramer, who is everybody knows, who has his show on CNBC and is just famous in the stock world. He recently said Lisa Su might be the best CEO of all time. She came to AMD with just a $2 billion market cap, or it might be million, I don't know, but now it's somewhere, in the $200 billion range, or even higher. I might be mistaken, but this company continues to perform. He also said that before there was a gap like between NVIDIA chips and AMD chips, and now Jim Cramer said that gap has slowly closing because Lisa Su has just put her head down and gone to work. So kudos to AMD, kudos to Lisa Su, kudos to Maddox for picking that stock pick. I mean, you picked it when? What did you get it at? Let's go back to what did you get it at?
I think it was around,
I think we can see where your cost basis was.
yeah, 172.
You got it at 172, and now it's at 254.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about getting something at the right time. I mean, that's a great pick on your part, and you haven't added anything to it. You just letting it cook, right?
Yeah, that was actually my biggest position. I think right now, I think holding it would probably be a good idea. But I'm definitely going to be adding, some of these other positions.
Awesome. That's a great pick. I mean, I've been moving my stocks around, but I think there's something to be said about just waiting for your stocks to pop and not just going back in and forth, based on what the news saying, because stock market is moved by the news, but it's also moved over time. So if you just take your time and just, really pick some good plays like Maddox did there, you can really make some good money. So that's a good
Yeah,
stock
true.
pick on your part.
Yeah, like a lot of these moves are, driven by news. There's definitely a lot of concerns around that, around the deals and, around the AI bubble. Like it's important, like you said, it's timing the market is more important than timing the market.
That's right. Next
Yeah.
play.
Yeah, so next we got Google. Yeah, up $27 on Google. But recently, Google announced that um, they're going to be using their TPU chips to help power Claude for Anthropic. So that's why they, I think they had like a 3% jump this past Friday. But outside of that,
Break down for the listeners what Claude, would you say Claude?
Claude, so Anthropic is, another AI company, and Claude is another chatbot. Like ChatGPT is one of the leading
Oh,
chatbots.
okay.
So Claude's been using Google's TPU chips to power, or yeah, to power their chatbot. So that's why it popped a little bit yesterday. I think it was up like 3%. And it was due to that, but also, like my dad said, macroeconomic, inflation was a little bit better than expected. But other than that, OpenAI just came out with their browser. So when that happened, there's been a lot of concerns, around Google, that ChatGPT is gonna disrupt Google's business. But I think moving forward, I think Google right now is just too integrated, within like all technology. And then we consider like Google's entire suite of services. Oh, you have Google Chrome, and then you have obviously like Google Docs, Google Sheets, Gmail, everything. So I think um, OpenAI's browser definitely has a place in the market, but I think it's just really hard to disrupt how integrated Google is, especially when you consider its suite of services. And then outside of, um, Google Chrome, Google's also made improvements in quantum computing. My dad has a couple quantum computing stocks in the portfolio. But Sundar Pichai, the CEO, just announced that they made a breakthrough in their quantum computing efforts. So that's also why the stock's been up a little bit.
Google just a powerhouse, man. You're right. I think, yeah, even though one thing I read that really was like, wow, this might affect Google's search business is they say OpenAI has over 800 billion users already, like 800. I'm sorry, 800 million users already. And they just started. Like they're really growing at a fast pace, and that's great for OpenAI. But like you said, Google has so much. Their servers for the data centers are like top notch, and they're playing on a big ball field and have a lot of money if they want to make acquisitions to increase their any part of their business. So they're running on all cylinders. They popped. You got them at the right time too. So another good play, and I think they'll be fine. I don't think OpenAI, it'll just be something that's added to folks can just do Google search and OpenAI. I don't think it's something where you have to do either or.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be completely disrupted. Even like Google has AI applications within their search. Like, you have the AI search when you look something up. Obviously Gemini is one of the better chatbots out there. And then, outside of, search, they have, their cloud business is very strong. They have Waymo, YouTube. So, yeah, I
Yeah,
definitely don't.
I forgot about Waymo. That's right.
Yeah, for sure. So I think, yeah, Google is definitely something I'm very bullish on long term.
Yep.
So moving on to the next one, we got Lululemon. So my dad didn't really like this pick, um, but I'm down on it. It's one of the ones I'm down on. But a
What
pretty
are you
similar
what are
story
you overall
to
down?
what happened.
What are you overall down?
I think I'm down like $10, 13.
13. But you were, I think, what is the stock at 178? You were down way much
Yeah, it was,
more. So it's climbing.
yeah, yeah. We could talk about that a little bit, but
Yeah.
yeah, as you can see, their last earnings report was really bad. So the market's really disappointed with the U.S. sales. So it went down to 160, like the 160 range, and now it's back up to 177. So I think overall the story around Lululemon's pretty similar, like compared to the last update. A low P ratio, a lot of pessimism priced into the stock with lower U.S. sales. So I think moving forward, I don't think I'll be out into this position. Really, not much has changed. I think since it's Q4, this is probably the best time to own the stock. But I'm definitely not something I'll be adding to. And I'm just be waiting to see more news coming around Lululemon.
This is great investment sort of advice for people. Like one thing I think Maddox did a great job of is that you know a lot of times when you have a stock have a bad earnings report and drops as much as it did, there's also the temptation to just cut your losses. But but doing your homework and doing your research and realizing that Lululemon still has a good business model, still has people that like the product, and also going into Q4, which is Christmas and all the holidays, the stock the stock probably won't stay on the bottom for long. And as you can see, just like what Maddox talked about, the stock dropped to 160. He wasn't worried. Stock starts moving up quietly up to 177. He was down something like 27, $30 in it. Now he's only down 13. And that might have been a stock that I would have added to because what happened was we saw a floor in it wasn't like you're catching a fall in life. We saw a floor. So once you see a floor and you see the stock start moving up, that's when you want to get in. That's where you get the majority of your gains is on big pullbacks like that. So that's one of the things that's a great investment advice. Sometimes when the stock goes down a lot, it might trip your stop loss, but if you're holding long term, you probably won't have a stop loss and it'll slowly come back and move forward past what your position is.
Yeah, that's totally true. I think when you're investing long term, you're not really worried about short term pullbacks, especially if it's related to earnings. I think when a stock goes down off of earnings, selling it is usually like one of the worst things you could do. Also, we talked about P/E ratio last time and how the stock had a low P/E ratio. Um, we just want to make sure that don't just buy stocks just because they have a low P/E ratio and they might be undervalued because sometimes they're undervalued for a reason. Um,
True.
yeah, so I was thinking about that. But moving on.
Uh, all right. You got any more stocks?
Yeah, one more. All right, so here we got Roku up 4% in it. Don't really have too much to say. Recently, it's been down a little bit. Netflix had a bad quarter, so a lot of the companies in the streaming industry are down. but recently achieved profitability, strong business fundamentally. They report earnings this Thursday, so definitely be looking forward to that. I mean, yeah, I mean, this is something I'll be holding on to. Don't really have too much to say about it.
So what's up? Roku also, how we said OpenAI has, a lot of users. Roku has a lot of users too. Everybody has a Roku device. So they have yet to tap into the advertising stream of income that they can tap into. So I think Roku is one of those things you just got to wait, let it cook, and I think it'll start to move up. But I think you're up overall in that stock, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm up like 4%. Yeah. All right, so moving over to my dad's portfolio. Um, First talk about like the transactions, like what you bought and you sold, and then talk about like what you got.
Yeah, so I've been doing a lot. I'm one of these guys that is in and out every day. So this probably doesn't look like what I bought the first day, but I've been moving around a lot. Now, Max, if you go up a little bit, go up on that sheet. If you look at should be a history tab. You see anything there? Go to trade transaction history. I guess you could do it there. Now, I want you guys to look at some things that I did. So you remember I owned SoundHound and Go Down Maddox. I also owned NVTS and Rigetti. Okay, so when we first did our picks, I didn't pick these stocks because they were still speculative, and I was thinking about getting in them, but they had moved so much already. Rigetti had been at 9 and went to 17 or 20. I was like, man, that's a huge move. Like, I don't know if I want to get in. But then I started hearing so much news about them, I had to get in. And I jumped on Rigetti. I jumped on NVTS, which is a semiconductor play. I also jumped on SoundHound. And I think Rigetti I made 100% on in a short amount of time. Those quantum computing stocks were moving. So I made 100%. If you see, go back to my original account. We started at 500 and now I'm at $147 gain. Okay. But I also sold a couple stocks. I sold a couple of my plays that I originally bought, because sometimes, guys, in investing, you want to jump on the fast moving train. Your train might be chugging a little bit, but when you see that fast moving train, them quantum computer stocks were moving, I jumped on them and I made a big gain. And also what I did was I knew that those stocks were not going to go up forever. So when I got to a point when I got 100% gain, guess what I did? I sold. So now Maddox stocks are a little bit more safer than mine. Okay, his stocks, I wanted to have him, show him like a safe portfolio, and then I wanted to show you guys like more of an aggressive portfolio. Now, my stock, I'm up a little bit, the same part of time, I'm up a little bit more than Maddox, but I think over time, Maddox's stocks will do way better than mine because they actually have revenue. Those quantum computing stocks don't even have revenue yet. They're not even making money. It's mostly speculative stuff, but people like Jensen Huang and other people have said how much quantum computing is going to be big, so a lot of people are going to jump in. But they're still going to be volatile until they start making money. A lot of people making partnerships and stuff. That's all cool for the market. But until these stocks start making money, and all of the stocks that Maddox has, they are profitable. Okay, let me say that again. Google, AMD, Lululemon, Roku, they have real earnings. Okay, they have real earnings that you can see. Now, these stocks, they're speculative stocks, and there's stocks like Maddox where they have real earnings. These stocks that I have, that I'll be playing with, I'm a little bit more aggressive. Some of them do have earnings, but some of them don't. They're more speculative. So that's why I think you should have two different portfolios. You should have a portfolio that's more safe, that has maybe ETFs in it, and then you should have a portfolio that's a little bit more aggressive. So that's kind of what we're showing you. We're showing you like a safer portfolio, then we're showing you an aggressive one, and we're going to see who wins. So starting out, Applied Digital is another company that I bought. They actually went up to like, if you look at the 52-week high, the reason I bought it, if the 52-week high was $40 and it was a big pullback, so I jumped in probably around 34, 33. No, I'm still down a little bit on it. But, they continue to make deals, and they definitely are an AI play. So I'm going to hold it for a little more. I think it'll go up a little bit more till year end. But again, this is a stock that's made an incredible move. Look, what's the 52-week range? $3.30. It's gone from $3.30 to $40. I mean, that's speculative as they come, and the company's not really making any money now. So I'm using this more of a trade than an investment. Okay? I have a stop loss on it. If I lose a certain amount of money, it kicks me out. Okay, so that's that play. Echo Science, I don't want to talk about. I feel like a dumb hole. That's one of the first stocks I ever bought. It's been delisted. I lost what? How much money did I lose on it? $24. I'm down over 100% on it. And the worst part about it, I've said this in other videos, they won't even let me take it off. I'm like, just sell it. It's awful. So it'll stay on there as like a arbitrage. Samsara. Samsara, I really believe in. IoT. I really believe in this stock. They just started to become profitable. They're growing by over double digits every year. And I think the stock is due for a breakout. They have a very good CEO. Software has kind of been in the dumps, but I think that they have learned to use AI on their platform. And I think Samsara will be at 60 by year end. Okay, so that's my prediction for Samsara. So I'm going to add to it, but I really believe in this stock. Let's jump down to the ETFs on the bottom. Even me, Mr. Aggressive, have started to realize that some plays I want to get a little bit more conservative on, right? So, well, not conservative, especially with Nugget. NUGT, that is a 2 times ETF. What that means is that when the price of gold is say it runs off of GDX, which is a gold miner. Say GDX is up 5% on the day. Let's just make round numbers. Say Nugget will be up 10%. Okay, there are ETFs that do 2 times leverage. Okay, and I believe in gold so much because of inflation and because when you cut rates, it also makes the dollar less valuable. I believe gold's going to go to 5,000. So I want to be aggressive in that. So I choose NUGT, which is a double 2-time leverage. When GDX goes up say 2 to 3%, Nugget goes up 5 to 6%. Okay, so that's my aggressive play on gold.
You say it's safer, but it's a double leverage ETF.
I actually wanted to say safer with the other plays, not Nugget. So here's a safer play. Okay, so I really think that energy is going to be the big winner, as well as AI with the upcoming AI boom, AI stocks with the upcoming AI boom. So some of those uranium and nuclear stocks have been just so crazy. If you go down Maddox, I want to show you what the holdings are for your URAN, what the top holdings are. You should have it on the bottom there. There we go. So if you look at these stocks, an ETF is sort of an accumulation of stocks, okay? So this is my more conservative play right here. I wanted to get into Oklo and those other things, but they've gone up so much. So what I did was I got an ETF with a bag of all of them in there. If you can see, this one has Constellation Energy, Cameco, Oklo, which everybody's been talking about, American Electric, Duke Energy, all these energy plays that I believe are going to win even more. I just got a bag of stocks. Instead of going into regular stocks like Oklo and watching my portfolio go up and down and the emotion of it, you get so crazy when you see that. I'd rather be a little bit more conservative with the energy play and just watch it tick up. So I really have big plans for year-end. I'll be added to that play. And last but certainly not least is Zip. I've been hearing, guys, so much about robots and Waymo and driverless cars. I was like, you know what? I got to get into this as well. So I'm not a big Elon Musk fan, but I was like, I got to be in Tesla somehow because I think he's going to change the world in terms of robots and stuff like that. So what I did was I got an ETF that combined Uber and Tesla. Man, that's why I love the market. there's like a little bit of something for everybody. If you want to get like Uber and Tesla, you can get this ETF. If you just want to get like Tesla and Nvidia, you can get that. Like there's something for everybody. So this play for me, it's not a 2-time leverage one. It's a little bit more conservative. It's the 50% Uber, 50% Tesla. I'm a little bit down on it, but I believe these. I've been talking about Uber for a while. I believe these plays are the future. So in order to get both of them without spending a lot of money, I got this ETF. This ETF is ZIP, ZIPP.
And that's what you got?
Bro. I'm super excited. You look at our portfolio, guys. We're up $250, just letting the market simmer. You know, we haven't done much in a couple of weeks. We just letting it just play out. Imagine if we were to put more money in or kept adding to it. Like that's the goal, and that's what we want to show you guys. Like, get your kids invested fast. You know, you got a kid that's 3, 4, 5, you know, up to 10 years old, even older. You know, start getting them a little portfolio. Put a little bit of money. We're showing you now $500. Okay, in a couple weeks, we're up to $250 profit. You know, so you know if you look at the whole portfolio, it's $1,000 between both of us, and we're $250 profit. Okay, so what is that? 25% profit, Maddox, already. You know, so again, guys, you know, investing is where it's at. You don't need to be a rocket scientist. You know, you listen to our plays and listen to our rationale. Do your own homework. We're not financial advisors, and we're making this money. You know, so again, this is so much fun to watch money rise, and you don't have to do it. This is how people get rich in America. Okay, it's not working a job. It's watching your money work for you, and that's what I want to leave you guys with today.
For sure. Yeah, it's definitely good to see all these gains, and definitely let us know what other stocks we should be looking to add to our portfolio. All right, we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.